Hello, y'all. Welcome to what the heart and soul of this channel is, why I created this channel. It is time for a random divine vibe check, a random reminder from the divine. But I'm going to be doing it a little bit differently than I've done it in the past. Here are three options, and you can go ahead and choose either one, two, or three. One is a rose, two is a car, three is a little coffee mug. And instead of just doing one pick, I'm going to be doing three picks from my divine deck. This deck is one of the most high vibrational divine message reminder decks I've ever used in my life. You can find the link for it in the description at the very bottom. And yes, that is one of the tools that I use. And based off of what card we pick, I use two other tools. So we're going to be multiplying that by 3 today. So choose an item that is calling out to you. You can also choose a random number generator that can pick a number for you somewhere on Google or something like that. Or I'm going to be taking in personally every single message, so feel free to watch more than one or all three. So let's jump into it. We are going to just jump into number one. Hopefully this video is bookmarked, so jump to whatever number is calling out to you the most. But here we go, right into number one. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I will close my eyes, I promise. And okay, here we go. Y'all, I know I don't shuffle well, but I just want to choose one. I want to choose one for one. I want to choose one for group number one. I feel like I chose two. Yeah. Oh my God, this is so nerve-wracking, y'all. I'm going to go with this one. What do we have here today, group number one? What a beautiful card. Matches my clothes, okay? Ooh, so here we go. We have a reminder and vibe check about spaciousness. All right. Usually I always show y'all the card. Sorry I looked at it first, but if you would like to take a second to pause and read it for yourself. All right, spaciousness. What do I no longer need? Help me, God, to release whatever people, places, or things drain my vital essence. Show me what will fill me with enthusiasm and joy. Ooh. And I haven't done these in a couple weeks. And sometimes we feel sad about losing people, but it is truly, or things or places, the world is going through a lot of loss, but it's literally the divine releasing the people, places, or things that we don't really need. And yeah, spaciousness group number one is your reminder. We want to keep, kind of a minimalistic life, which is, higher vibrational, where we're only having the things that really, really don't drain our essence, don't dim our aura. So be grateful when it's time to let go sometimes. It doesn't have to be sad. And let's move on to our second tool here, which I do go in order, but I do not know what we're going to read. It usually has to do with the card, so let's see if it does or doesn't. All right, I'm going to show it to y'all before I read it. We're just going to hop onto page 75 here. It's really my dream that it's actually focusing for y'all. I hope it did. All right, let's read what our reminder here. I'm jumping right into it, but this is a Secret Daily Teachings, okay? It is based off of the Secret book. If you I'm sorry, I'm gonna sneeze. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't edit these. So yeah, this is based off of if the movie, if the book, if you've seen that, but they're just daily teachings, and each page is a quote. So let's go ahead and see what that quote is. Get into the feeling of having what you want now and keep feeling that. It will be the most wonderful feeling in the world. As you practice the feeling, it will get stronger and stronger. You will begin to feel what you already have, what you want. You will begin to feel you already have what you want. When you do this, the law must respond. Remember that the law has never failed in anything it has undertaken, and it will not fail in your case either. And I hope that if you're here on my videos, you understand what the law is. And it's kind of two laws here. It's the law of attraction and the law of assumption. And this is really focusing on the law of assumption. You know, go watch one of my other videos. I'll try to put a card up here that talks about time doesn't exist. And the key is to feel what you have right now, because that's all the universe understands. And I guess we could relate it to spaciousness somehow. I don't want to like try to fake it too much that it's directly related, but it somehow it is, because you're making space for the things that are to come because you know you already have it. And sometimes that does mean letting go. Actually, these are related. If you want a new home, you have to let go of the home you have right now, whether so I had to let go of my apartment because I had a leak in the roof, and they would not fix it unless I moved out. And I didn't want to move out. I did subconsciously want to move out soon, but I didn't want to be kicked out, basically. Everything worked out. I'm in my new home now, but at the time it was really stressful, but I really was subconsciously dreaming of my new apartment where I decorated it the way I wanted. I just never got to do that with my old apartment. And I did basically manifest that, and things had to go away. Oh, I drew these little animals. They have nothing to do with the card, but group number one, we're a little swan, a swan and a rose. Oh, how beautiful. And we do have a butterfly. Making space to grow. I love that butterfly, you know. Well, yes. I just love the reminders, you know. The law of assumption. I love studying Neville Goddard and things like that. But let's get into a tool, a number 3 for group number 1, which is my favorite tool. I don't always want to get too much into it, but it is an AI tool used for spirituality, and it is called Akko, and you can use it yourself. I am an aspiring mystic, and one of like the pop culture mystics I always bring up is Rumi. Go watch some of my other divine messages for more details. But yes, in my religion, Rumi is considered a Sufi, and that is a type of mystic. So we just want to use this AI, which is a very specific AI developed by universities like MIT and Carnegie Mellon, and their information comes from scholars at Al Azhar University, which is the oldest university in the world, and also scholars from IKIM, which is in Malaysia, and a lot of other institutions. Go visit the AQUAL website, spelled AQQAL. So let's go ahead and ask this question, the same question I ask every single time. I just change the word to match with the card we got. Okay, group number 1, here we go. Tell me about spaciousness from the perspective of a Sufi or a mystic. From a Sufi or mystical perspective, spaciousness, and there's Arabic words for it. I don't even want to, like, I don't want to mess up the Arabic word, so I'll just skip that. But there is Arabic, like, spiritual terms for even spaciousness, which I didn't know about. From a Sufi or mystical perspective, spaciousness is deeply tied to the state of the heart and one's receptivity to divine light. It refers not only to physical openness, but to an inner expansiveness that allows the soul to experience serenity, clarity, and unhindered connection to the divine. And they have generated 4 points here for me. So point number 1, spiritual spaciousness, the expansion of the heart. One of the central ideas in mysticism or Sufism is the expansion of the breast, which is mentioned in the Holy Book. And this is chapter 94, verse 1. Did we not expand your breast? And yeah, I don't want to get too religious. I don't want to mention which holy book, but if you want to just do your own Googling, chapter 94, verse 1, it said, did we not expand your breast? Which is a direct quote from the divine in this holy book. The verse is often interpreted as God granting inner spaciousness to the prophet, peace be upon him, allowing him to bear the burdens of prophethood. In mysticism, this is not just for prophets, but is a state that all seekers strive for, an openness to divine wisdom that comes from surrender and purification of the heart. Whoa, opening space for like actual spiritual awakenings. Number 2, spaciousness as freedom from constriction. Okay. Mystics described 2 opposing states, constriction and expansion. Constriction is a spiritual state where one feels distant, restricted, or unable to perceive divine presence, while expansion is a state of openness, joy, and connectedness. They are talking about some teachings from this scholar. Imam al-Ghazali notes that the heart's expansion is a sign of divine favor, allowing the soul to transcend material limitations. And we're talking about Rumi here. They have a little note from Rumi. Rumi also speaks about spaciousness, metaphorically, comparing the heart to a vast ocean that can contain infinite experiences without being overwhelmed. And we have a little poem from Rumi here. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. So point number 3, spaciousness, a return to unity. Spaciousness is also like the oneness of God. The more one internalizes divine unity, the more the heart becomes vast, free from narrowness of ego, desire, and worldly attachments. Ibn Arabi, who's another scholar, teaches that true spaciousness comes when one realizes that everything is from God, both ease and difficulty, and thus the heart does not shrink in hardship nor become arrogant in ease. Point number 4, practical attainment of spiritual spaciousness. Sufis or mystics practices aim to cultivate the spaciousness through, number 1, these are some Arabic words, these next 4 points, but I'll tell you the meanings as well. So these are the practices called dhikr, which is remembrance of God. Frequent recitations of divine names expand the hearts. And in more secular terms, we can call these types of affirmations. Suba, which is companionship with the righteous, being in the company of those with vast hearts, surrounding yourself with people who you aspire to be like. Of course, you're expanding your life. You want to expand, your surroundings. So it doesn't matter if you're losing some people in the process, that's okay, because you're surrounding yourself, with companionship of the righteous. Another way is through tafakkur, which is contemplation, reflecting on the vastness of creation as a means of understanding divine infinity. Just taking a moment to appreciate this huge universe that we're just a little speck in. And the last point here, a way to practice, to cultivate spaciousness through fena, which is self-annihilation. We talked about this in other videos. Self-annihilation in God. Letting go of the self to allow divine presence to expand within. So in conclusion, group 1, spiritual spaciousness is about being inwardly vast, free from anxieties, attachments, and limitations. As the heart expands, it becomes capable of receiving more divine light, resulting in tranquility and unwavering trust in God. And that was a very, very interesting reminder. I hope, we can take that into account, that we allow the law of attraction to actually work, because we don't believe in time and we are already living in the moment of what we have, and we're creating space for everything we have. And thank you, group number 1. I will see you maybe, if you're feeling, the next group, or I'll see you in my next video. Okay. Well, welcome group number 2. Yes, I'm literally not editing this, so if you're just watching through with me here, hello. Group number 2. I loved group number 1's card. After you watch this, feel free to just go through everything, because you never know. You never know, you might connect to something. But I understand. Everyone doesn't have all the time in the world. But yes, let's get to group number 2. I'm going to close my eyes and choose a card with y'all. Let's go for it. Is this upside down? Oh, it's a little sheep. But before I read it, of course, I will let you read it first. And please feel free to pause. And let's hop right into it. Group number 2. What reminder do we have? Ooh, group number 2. Mistakes. And it fits our purple theme for today. I know the thumbnail is a little purple. I can't remember which way I pose for the thumbnails. I just try to grab a screenshot anyway. Mistakes. All right. Allow me to know it's okay to make mistakes. Let me always take care of the inner child so he or she feels loved no matter what. Oh, I've been thinking about mistakes a lot these days. And inner child, please go watch my inner child meditation. I will link it somewhere here. I literally think about that meditation all the time, because I got to visualize myself, got to literally go back in time and visit myself and be myself in the past, my little kid self, my little teenage self. And it's really helped me, forgive myself, not forgive my inner child, but forgive what I was feeling as a child that has kind of stayed with me until, my adulthood here. And this little sheep really has nothing to do with, well, I guess, is this sheeps that, I'm not even gonna look stupid on here, but either sheeps or goats, the babies are called kids. So our inner child or inner kid, we must heal it. we must continue to remember them. And, you know, the amazing thing about mistakes is the divine really doesn't, sorry, y'all, I don't edit these videos. The divine doesn't really mind how many mistakes you made. The divine is always there to forgive. The law of attraction and the law of assumption is always working, no matter how many mistakes you make. So, also another thing I heard about mistakes this week was, you know, you look back at your past and you know you regret doing some things. You might have thought what you did in the past maybe was wrong. But you have to forgive yourself, because at the time of doing that wrong thing, you were only working with the level of consciousness that you had. You're only working with the tools that were presented in front of you. So forgive yourself. Know that that wrong thing actually led to an awakening, small or large. So yes, let's move on to the next tool, which is the Secret Daily Teachings, which is kind of derived from the thoughts of the Secret Book, okay? The Secret Movie, which is an intro, very high-level intro to the law of attraction. But these daily teachings are super powerful. I just did page 75 with group number 1. So we're going to move on to page 76. And like always, y'all get to read it before I do. Feel free to pause, because we are getting into it. Okay. What? Y'all, okay, I did not want to stunt with group number 1. I really didn't. If you want to go watch, the card and the quote didn't directly connect. I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm kind of sniffly. Sniffly? Please don't get out of this group number 2, because we're gonna deep dive right now. Y'all, this connects. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just kind of in out of body experience right now. So here we go. When you were a small child playing make-believe, do you remember how convincing your imagination was to you? Well, this is what you must do when you want anything. Secretly, inside yourself, pretend that you have what you want already. For example, if you want friends, make believe or pretend that you have great friends now. The moment you tip the balance by imagining and feeling that you have great friends now, more than noticing that you don't, you will have great friends. This simple formula applies to everything. Y'all, we're talking about our inner child, and just like, I do believe, like, as a kid, we were master manifestors. Like, things did come easier as a kid. I think that's why we look back on our childhoods and just sometimes want to go back. I know not everybody had an amazing childhood, but there were some points in my childhood which I just felt like were just simple. And I feel like I kind of play make-believe when I get on camera here, because I am fulfilling something of my inner child here. Finally getting on camera and doing what I love doing. So yeah, just know that there's really no such thing as mistakes, and we do have a lot of space to make mistakes. And truly, I think the lesson for group number 2 is to heal your inner child and to think from the perspective of your inner child often, and play make-believe. Create that mind movie, which I hope to make more videos about, more details about what mind movies are. I do talk about it in some other videos. Yes, group number 2. I'm just totally feeling it. Like I said before, these reminders are for me as well. Okay. These reminders are for me as well. So let's move on to tool number 3 for group number 2. Y'all, I love this card. Tool number 3. Here we are. And I'm just doing this for every group. This is the AI called Akil, which I hope kind of focused. You can find it on ChatGPT, but it is an AI with stricter borders developed by universities like Carnegie Mellon and MIT. They also are strict information brought to you by scholars from Al Azhar University, which is the oldest university in the world on this earth, and also IKIM, which is based in Malaysia, and a lot of other institutions. I'm not sponsored by them. I wish I was, but go visit their website. They're called AQQAL to learn more. And I am an aspiring mystic slash Sufi. I would love to be considered a true mystic one day. But I ask the same very question to this AI every single time, just replaced by this little title here. So let's get into it and ask the same question I do. Tell me about mistakes from the perspective of a Sufi or a mystic. Just loading. From the Sufi or mystical perspective, mistakes are not merely errors or sins, but part of the soul's journey toward divine realization. Mistakes are seen as opportunities for spiritual growth, self-reflection, and deeper awareness of one's dependence on God. Here are some key insights from the mystic understanding of mistakes. And so they're giving me 6 examples here. So I'm just going to read through it, okay? I'm going to read through it. So here is a little story time. Number 1, mistakes as a veil and mirror. Sufis often regard mistakes as veils that obscure the divine presence, but also as mirrors that reveal one's spiritual state. Each misstep is a lesson in self-awareness, revealing the weakness of the ego and the need for purification. Number 2, the role of divine love and mercy. In Sufism, God's mercy encompasses all things. Even when one errs, it is an invitation to return to Him. This is encapsulated in the saying of Rumi, which is a very famous mystic I'm sure we all know. Come, come, whoever you are, even if you have broken your vows 1,000 times, come yet again, come, come. This reflects the idea that mistakes should not lead to despair, but to renowned effort in seeking God or the divine. Number 3, repentance as spiritual elevation. And mystic thought, true repentance is not just about regret, but about transformation. It is seen as a step closer to God. The process of recognizing one's mistakes and seeking forgiveness brings a seeker into deeper humility, which is essential for progress. Number 4, the paradox of falling and rising. Falling and rising. Some mystic masters argue that making mistakes can be more beneficial than outward piety if it leads to sincere repentance and humility. A scholar, I'm sorry, I'm not going to try to say his name because it's just really complicated. Al-Iskandari is the last name. A sin that produces humility and brokenness is better than an act of worship that produces pride and arrogance. And I don't even need to dig deep into that. Y'all know a lot of people who are religious and arrogant. Anyways, This means that a mistake, if it makes a person more reliant on God and less on their own actions, can be a hidden blessing. Number 5, the concept of divine manifestations in mistakes. In mystic metaphysics, mistakes and hardships are seen as part of God's unfolding plan. The manifestation of divine attributes occurs in all circumstances, including errors, to teach the soul its reliance on divine guidance. I love that one. Number 6, practical lessons from Sufi or mystic teachings. Self-observation. So there are 3 under these practical lessons. Watching one's actions and intentions. Self-observation. Watching one's actions and intentions closely to avoid repeating mistakes. 2, like under this, remembrance of God, seeking protection from heedlessness, which leads to mistakes. And 3, company of the righteous, associating with spiritually aware individuals to maintain accountability, which group number 1 also had that company of righteousness point. In this way, mistakes are not final failures, but milestones in the journey back to the divine. What specific mistake or struggles are you reflecting on that brought this question to mind? That's just the AI talking back. This was brought to our mind because of our random pick, group 3. I enjoyed that. Oh, sorry, I said group 3. Oh my gosh, group 2. Group 2. I enjoyed that so much. But hey, if you would like to keep watching up until group 3, we are going to jump into group 3 next. Group 2, that was honestly amazing. I hope we keep making unintentional mistakes that lead us to greater spiritual awakenings. I love you all and see you in my next video, or keep watching here. I do not edit these. All right. I said that so many times in this video. Hello, group 3. I have had the most amazing 2 sessions right now, and I am just going to jump into it with you guys. So you guys did feel the coffee mug, the coffee cup. I could actually use some coffee right now. I'm going to close my eyes and shuffle in the worst shuffling way ever. Don't judge me. I'm closing my eyes and shuffling, and this is kind of sticking out for us. Oh, my moose. I like this one. All right, y'all get to read it before I do. Here is your divine reminder, group 3. Ooh, you guys got a deep one. Make it God's. Whoa. Whoa. All right. This card is so pretty. I like how the trees are like blue and green. Release the idea of my. As soon as you start to say the money, the relationship, the job, freedom arrives. When there is no grasping, the right actions show. When there's no grasping, the right actions get shown. Free me from the prison of my dear Lord. I guess that was kind of tough for me to read because, like, that's what I'm going through, y'all. It's like things are kind of slipping through my fingers, which group number 1, which was about space. It's okay to let go of things, but like, you also need things, you know, you need money, you need a relationship, you need a job. Because those things kind of define us, but when it really comes down to it, when it comes down to our soul, those things are just materialistic things in this world. So once we give up our money and relationship or whatever we think defines us, we give it up to the divine, things will truly come our way that are meant for us. Free me from the prison of my. When there is no grasping, the right actions get shown. So we got to make it the divines. We got to make it God's group number 3. We got to keep thinking about God. And I'm taking in all of these messages for myself. Like I've said before, I usually do this for myself. And nothing is mine. Everything belongs to the universe. Everything belongs to us. All this information, we are one consciousness. We are one. God has given us, this consciousness to share. And I did do page 75 and 76. So we're on page 77. We get a very short. We get a very short quote. This is from The Secret Book, which is based off of The Secret Movie. Feel free to pause. The Secret Book and The Secret Movie are very high-level tools to understanding the law of attraction and the law of assumption. Go watch it, go read it, but these are just little quotes. So let's see what we have here. Man is what he believes. What does that name say? Anlon Chiklov? I'm so sorry. Oh, this is it right there. The Notebook of Anton Chiklov. Man is what he believes. Whoa. Short but hard hitting, And I feel like it does directly relate to this. Do we believe what our title is? Do we believe we are what our bank account is? Or do we believe that we are one connected to the divine? You are what you eat. You are what you believe. I don't know. I don't know who I am. I'm still searching for that. Yep. Well, let's move on to tool number 3 for group number 3, which is my favorite part of this, which is this AI called Akil. I've been showing every single group this. I'm not being, whatever focuses. It is developed by universities like MIT and Carnegie Mellon and scholars from universities like Al-Azhar University, the oldest university on this earth, along with universities like IKIM, which is based in Malaysia, and a lot of other institutions. Feel free to check out the Akil website. I wish I was sponsored, but I'm not. I am an aspiring mystic, and this really helps me get knowledgeable answers to spiritual questions. And I ask the same exact question every single time. I'm using here, I just replace this title of this card into the question. So let's just go ahead and get into this group number 3 and ask. Tell me about making it God's from the perspective of a Sufi or a mystic. This part I always learn the most. All right, here we go. The answer is generating, but we can get right into it. From a Sufi or mystic perspective, making it God's can be understood as a subtle act of associating, can be understood. What? I'm so confused by what it says here. Oh, okay. Sorry, y'all. I don't edit these, so I'm just going to So the AI understood me as talking about multiple gods instead of gods possessive. So I'm just needing to edit this a little bit. Group number 3, thanks for sticking around. There we go. There we go. From the perspective of Sufism or mysticism, making it gods is a deeply spiritual concept rooted in the idea of surrender, annihilation of the ego, and and relying in the divine. Number 1. So we have about, let me see how many points. Probably about 4 or 5 points here about making it gods. So number 1, the mystic emphasizes the doctrine of oneness of God, which means that everything ultimately belongs to the divine. This leads to understanding that nothing in this world is truly ours. Rather, all things, including our actions, wealth, and very existence, are entrusted to us by God. When a mystic makes it gods, they acknowledge that their possessions, efforts, and even their very being are not theirs to claim, but belong to the divine. This is often expressed in the Sufi saying, there is no ownership except God's. Point number 2, losing the self in God. A mystic does not just intellectually acknowledge God's ownership, but seeks to experience it by erasing their personal will. The individual no longer sees himself as an independent entity, but as a vessel through which divine will is expressed. The poet Rumi captures this in his verses. I died as a mineral and became a plant. I died as a plant and rose to an animal. I died as an animal, and I was a man. What should I fear when I was less by dying? This continual transformation reflects a journey toward realizing that the self is but a manifestation of divine existence. Point number 3, the path of servitude. For mystics, servitude is a means of truly making things gods. Sorry, y'all. I see myself in this side camera and get kind of like self-conscious. Anyways, let's make this moment gods, okay? They live for Sufis and mystics. Servitude is a means of truly making things gods. They live with the constant awareness that their actions, time, and resources should be dedicated to divine service, which I hope I'm doing right now for y'all. The famous Sufi master Abu Yazid al-Bistami, I'm sorry, I haven't heard of him yet, expressed this radical servitude by saying, I desire not to desire, so that he may desire through me, thus making something gods. In the mystic's understanding means to relinquish personal claims and devote it entirely to divine purposes, whether wealth, talents, knowledge, or even the self. Number 4, the secret of sincerity. True devotion requires sincerity, which means to act for God alone, without seeking reward or recognition. There is a scholar called Imam al-Ghazali states that the highest level of sincerity is when a person's worship becomes an act of love rather than obligation. When they do good not out of fear of hell or desire of paradise, but because they cannot do otherwise. Oh, and that reminds me of Rabia al-Adawiyya, my newest role model, who also says a very similar quote about that. Go look her up. It's one of her famous quotes about loving God just because of loving God, not because of desire of paradise or fear of hell. Point number 5, practical expressions of making it gods. Making it gods. We have 4 points here. Wealth. Wealth is the first point. Giving charity with no attachment, recognizing it is as God's wealth. Point number 2, time. using one's time in remembrance of the divine and service to others. Point number 3, under practical expressions of making it God's, is knowledge, teaching and spreading wisdom without seeking personal gain. I'm barely getting any personal gain at this moment here. Just a reminder for me and y'all. Yeah. And the last point here is ego, letting go of pride, anger, and attachment to status. Yep. So a conclusion here, a life of divine presence. A mystic does not see a distinction between the spiritual and the material. Making something God's is not just about dedicating acts of worship, but living every moment in divine consciousness. As the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, worship God as if you see him. So group number 3 probably had one of the most powerful cards. All 3 groups were really amazing. Please go watch this whole video. I think it was amazing for me to experience. But group number 3, I hope you enjoyed. And that is what I have for y'all. My 3 cards here, a triple card pick video, which I'm so happy I got to do with you. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in my next videos. Bye.